Well, good morning. Whoa. I guess I'm projecting, a little too much this morning. I'm projecting my God self. Are you projecting your God self this morning? Yes. All right. And we're choosing heaven today. Thank you, choir, for that wonderful, wonderful song to get us started this morning. Well, welcome. Welcome to Unity of Charlotte. We're so glad you're here with us this morning on this Labor Day weekend. Where did summer go? I don't know. All of a sudden it's Labor Day now. I'm Reverend Sally Robbins. I'm filling in for our beloved Reverend Marty, who is taking a very well-deserved Sunday off. And we feel really blessed that you can join us today. We also want to join all of those who are watching us via the cameras, and right there with Bernadette, the cameras that we upload to YouTube, and we also broadcast on Channel 21, Access 21. So you can join us there too. Unity of Charlotte is here nurturing a deep, mature experience of God through the practice of unity principles. Simply put, we are here to love, serve, and grow. Are you with me on that? Yes. And we believe spiritual community enhances our experience of life, making it richer, deeper, and more expanded. If you're joining us today for the very first time, we really want to give you a special welcome. We're so glad you came today. Please just relax, sit back, and enjoy yourself as a guest today. If you see anyone with a blue ribbon on their name tag, those are our specially trained ninja greeters. They are here to make your experience absolutely wonderful. They can answer questions. They can guide you to a place where you can sign up for our email list, which is right outside the door there. They'll give you a welcome packet. So please stop by there on your way out. And if you're in need of spiritual support, you can place a prayer request in our Ministry of Prayer box, which is also right out there in the lobby. Or did you know that you can go online to our website and you can place a prayer request there? So we are in the 21st century serving your spiritual needs. You'll also find out by signing up for our email list that we have many wonderful things happening in our center, in our church. And so every week, Reverend Marty sends out a wonderful program with all of the upcoming events and a little spiritual nuggets. So please sign up for that to stay in tune with who we are and what we're doing. Just a couple of quick announcements. Today is Potluck Sunday. And so we invite you to join us afterwards. Even if you didn't bring anything, there's always plenty of food. We have it right out here in Cafe Unity right outside, right after the service. And our prayer and meditation class, this is wonderful. If you've ever wondered, how do I meditate? I've just never been able to sit still for long enough. We're going to have a wonderful class that begins Tuesday, September 11th. We're offering it at 2 times, 1 p.m. and at 7 p.m. So if you're a day person, you can take it in the day. If you're a night person, come at night. Reverend Marty will be teaching this wonderful class. And don't let money be an issue. We can always work it out. You can register online at our website. And John Stringer is going to be coming back. Aren't you excited? Woo! John Stringer will be in town this Wednesday. He is doing an Alignment with Source event. And think of this as a cross between an inspirational concert and a channeling session, where all you need to bring is yourself to amplify and co-create an experience of healing vibrations meant to remind you of your oneness. And it doesn't get any better than that. John has been with us before. We've just really enjoyed having him here, so we invite you to come here Wednesday for that. And what time is that? Do we know? 7 p.m. Thank you. Pardon? The 12th. It's not this Wednesday. It's next. It's the following Wednesday. Thank you, Kelly. Thank you. All right. And then a special prayer service will be held Thursday, September 13th, the day after that, also at 7 p.m. as part of Unity's Day of Prayer. Our global village of Unity churches every year has a Unity Day of Prayer. And so we get to join with them in that. And so we invite you to come here to the sanctuary and be a part of that. And now I'd like to invite you to relax. I am relaxed. And allow the music to take you on the inward journey. And our prayer today is led by Kay Simpkins.
If you would, if you're comfortable, please close your eyes. Lift your hands or keep your eyes open, whatever makes you comfortable. And as we enter into the divine presence of the Most High God this morning, we ask that the divine presence will cover us like a covering cherub. Cover us with love and with peace. Give us your healing elixir this morning. Shine through us this morning and let your Christ rise in us. We ask that you would bless our speaker today and bless the choir today. We ask that your presence would be with them and inspire them so that we may be inspired. Everyone that has come through the doors and all those who had a desire to come and those who are watching us via television, internet, we ask that you go into their homes and bless them where they are. And we ask for your holy presence to be with us today, and so it is. Amen.
And now our choir is going to do our congregational song, one of my favorites, also from the Agape International Spiritual Center, Holy, Holy Way.
Takes two hands. Oh. My mother always said I was a golden China closet. Now everybody sing. Louder. Oh, let me love in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me love in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me know that love is all around me. Oh, let my steps reveal a path of peace. Oh, let me love in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me love in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me love in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me love in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me love in a holy, holy way. Let me love in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me learn from all the ways I fall. Let me learn from all the ways I fall. Oh, let me know that love can heal us all. Let me know that love can heal us all. Oh, let me share the good that's overflowing. Oh, let me love in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me love in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me love in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me love in a holy, holy way. Oh, let me serve in a holy, holy way. Let me serve in a holy, holy way. Oh, let
So we're going to actually stand now. We're going to say our affirmation for this month. Whoa. So let's say it together. Today I commit to living a fulfilled life. My heart and mind are open to divine guidance. My intention is clear, and I move forward with confidence. My thoughts, words, and actions are perfectly aligned. Today, I commit to living a fulfilled life. Thank you. You may be seated. So this is the time of the service we have, again, a chance to go within if you like. I'm going to do a reading from the collected essays of Robert Bitzer, who was a powerful minister in the New Thought realm. He served in Hollywood, California for many, many years. Actually, he served until he was well into his 90s. And I just have great affection for him and how clear he was as a teacher. So this essay that he wrote is called Powerful Decisions, which goes along with our theme for the month, the power of commitment. And today I'm talking about the power of decisions. So Robert Bitzer says this: decisions give life its meaning. Your growth is a result of your conscious decisions. They represent how you are directing your creativeness. Adjusting yourself to situations over which you have no control does not bring spiritual growth. Such experience would develop tolerance, patience, and forbearance, but it merely accepts the status quo and disallows your opportunity for conscious choice. Since you have discovered the creative mind, you have to assert conscious control. Your power to make decisions is a definite step forward in your personal evolution. Up to this point of your spiritual awakening, the principle of evolution more or less governs. Nature is directing the evolutionary force to produce the self-conscious individual who takes charge of his or her personal life. Your experiences are intended to prepare you for this creative event. You are no longer done unto now. Instead, you do unto. Life will manifest your self-choices. You choose what you want and demonstrate your ability to live with your choice. Your choice denotes your spiritual discrimination. What you think is important. Your basis of choice is not one of comparison, but rather making a personal commitment. For instance, in choosing a house, early American, French country, Georgian, Tudor, or colonial, is not which is the best, but which will adequately portray your desire. Which is better for dinner, steak or chicken? Again, you do not compare, but take the one that appeals to you in the moment. Your choice gives your direction its creative power. The purpose can never be overlooked. Choose you this day whom ye will serve. No choice is forever, but only for the period of aliveness in your desire. Life will continually let you complete your project and then pursue another. Choice is more of a way and a path than a goal and objective. The end of the trip is just the beginning of another. Your attitude, faith, and perseverance bring the growth. And now we'll have another selection from the choir.
No hands but yours, no feet but yours.
Here we go. So I'm going to get a little personal with you this morning. Do you mind? Okay. So about 4 weeks ago, I was called to a meeting of my company. My company is based in Maryland, and so I flew up to the Baltimore, Washington area and had a meeting with the entire group. And the owner of the company stood up, and he said, I hate to tell you this, but I have sold the company. And so immediately a kind of a ripple went through the whole group of us. And he followed it up and he said, but I want you to know that the people that I've sold the company to, which was a competitor, the people that I've sold the company to have guaranteed that everyone has jobs and your salary will stay intact. Whew. Okay, so we were like, yes, all right. So the new owner came in and he repeated the same thing to us. We love the skill set that everyone in this company brings. We love the client base that you have developed. Everyone will have a job and everyone's salary is intact. 2 weeks later, I received a phone call from the new owner. And he said, Sally, I'm really sorry to make this call. Can you see where this is going? He said, I'm really sorry to make this call, but your job has been eliminated. There's no place for you in the new company. So I'm like completely shocked because 2 weeks prior I had heard completely the opposite. And I'm thinking, okay, Spirit is clearing the decks for me. I just moved here to Charlotte, brand new city, and now I get to have a brand new job experience. So I kind of took a deep breath after mumbling a few things under my breath. Of course, that was after I hung up the phone. And I thought, okay, what now? What now? And I have to admit that when your livelihood is threatened, anyone else ever been in the same boat? A few of us. The fear, you can feel that fear starting to rise up, can't you? It was coming up. And I really got anxious. I immediately called my practitioner, Reverend Marty, and said, guess what? So we had a little prayer. And for the next couple days, I kind of went through what I called separation anxiety. And what I mean by that is not the normal way we think of separation anxiety, which is very popular around this time of year. I'm going to show you a slide that it's the first day of school, you know, the mother's trying to drag the child, you know, onto the school bus. Then the opposite happens on the first day of college. Then the parents don't want the child to leave. That's what we normally think of as separation anxiety, right? When you're leaving or you're having to leave something comfortable and that you're feel very safe with, and now all of a sudden there's a whole new world and you don't know what to expect, what to do, how to react. And so the separation anxiety I was feeling was, oh my gosh, a whole new world is out there now for me. What do I do next? Because obviously, when you have bills to pay, you have to kind of kick it into gear, right? And so I really was going through my own separation anxiety at that point. And what I finally came to the conclusion of after much prayer, much meditation, and talking repeatedly with my practitioner, because I got to tell you, when you are in that space of darkness and fear, the place that brings you back is going to that place of oneness, because separation of ourself, for a moment I believed that I was separate from my good. Do you follow me on that? I believed that I could somehow be separate from the good that is constantly flowing through my life. And that I was separate from my source, which is the God within. And so my separation anxiety had to be healed. It was coming up simply for me to go, oh, I'm simply feeling separate from the source of my being, which only knows prosperity and joy and plenty and good and peace and happiness and all the other God qualities. And so I got a chance to heal that separation anxiety that was going on within me, deep within me, because I've been studying this for 40 years, guys, and I'm thinking, I should have this by now, right? Guess what? Life continually gives us feedback, not to punish us, but gives us a chance to go, wait a minute, I'm not quite thinking right here. Because the truth is that I can never be separated from my good. The truth is that I am never separate from the God within me. And the truth is that prosperity is always, always flowing to me and through me unless I put up the block. Are you with me? So I had to make myself available for that good to keep flowing because fear blocks it completely. And so I simply had to move to a place of deep understanding that there was something greater than just a job loss going on here. There was a chance for me to heal at a really deep level my belief that there was something other than oneness. Because that's our life mission, isn't it? Is to continually know our oneness with God. We say that all the time. It's so easy to say. And yet it is so difficult to live at times when life will throw us a curveball and you get to go, oh, okay. Let's see how this is going to unfold. So here I am, standing in the healing of my separation anxiety. Because I know, and I get to keep practicing. There's a difference between knowing it and experiencing it. Are you with me on that? You can know all you want. You get to experience it when you practice it. And that's the whole point of unity, right? Of New Thought, is that we are practicing spiritual principles. We're not just mouthing it on Sundays and not just painting a pretty picture on Sundays, and then we have to go fend for ourselves during the week and then come back in and go, man, I need a battery recharge. We get to practice this. That is the crux of what we do here. And that is the power of a decision that I want to talk about today. Because the decision I got to make was this. I am not employed by a company. I'm employed by my source. By the God within me that created me. Come on. And it's that knowing and practicing that I get to show up for day in and day out. That is the power of my decision. That is the power of a decision that we all get to make. Have you ever heard of the four spiritual stages of growth? They are like this. Okay, we're going to need some new batteries in this. Can we get some new batteries? This is not working. Whoop. Back it up. Back it up. There, up, forward. Can I get some new batteries in this? Somebody? Thank you. All right, so the 4 stages of growth. Stage 1 is in the upper left here. This comes directly from Michael Beckwith's, thank you, Jim. Michael Beckwith's teaching. Stage 1 is where life happens to you, right? You're in victimhood. Everything is happening to you. You get to blame somebody else. Don't we all start there? Isn't that what the world teaches? That life happens to you and you don't have a whole lot of control. You just kind of float along and whatever happens, happens. And then we realize that life happens by me, or to it, is what he calls it, where you're actually using law, the power of decision now. Stage 2, where you learn that life actually, you have a co-creative control. You have a chance to now up the ante because you have a co-creative control in this process. Now, this is also where the self-help movement exists in stage 2. And I have to tell you that many New Thought people get stuck in this stage because they realize, hey, I can create and manifest a really great life, but they don't go beyond that. And because in stage 3, we now are moving to a place where I'm not just controlling, I'm not just co-creating things, I'm allowing life to happen through me. I am simply the vessel for good in this world. I am the vessel for wonderful prosperity and flow and the beingness of God. And then finally, the 4th one is life happens as me. I'm simply showing up as the one God within me. I see only one God in everything that I do. Now, the truth is that we all kind of flow between the 4 stages. It's not like you get to one stage and whoop, I'm here for life. Because have you ever been in stage 2 or 3 or 4 and then boom, you're back down in stage 1? I was there just a few weeks ago. Damn that guy. I can't believe he didn't see the beauty of the magnificence of what I bring to a job. I was just floored. Thank you, Alan. And so I understood that I can be in any of these. It's a fluid life that we live. And we go in between these 4 stages on a constant ride, so to speak. But our goal is to stay in the upper stages as much as possible. Are you with me? So you and I get to understand that sometimes we might get knocked back down into stage 1, but we don't stay there. Or we start staying there less and less and less. The first time I was laid off, I've been working for 45 years. The first time I was laid off, I stayed in the victimhood stage 1, for about 2 weeks. Now it's 2 hours. Much better. Much better pity parties going on. Get them over. And so I get to recognize that I still have the same challenges as everyone else, but I get to move through them quicker. And I get to understand the truth a whole lot faster than I did before. Stephen Covey, everybody heard of him? He said, I am not a product of my circumstances. I am a product of my decisions. And so when we make the decision that we are here to live a life of co-creation with that inner God, man, life just up-levels in a way that we can't even imagine sometimes. Ernest Holmes, the founder of religious science, had this to say: the whole purpose of the science of mind is to reconcile the apparent separation of the spiritual world, which must be perfect, with the material world, which appears imperfect. This is why we are taught to be transformed by the renewing of our minds. That wonderful, wonderful scripture from Robbins. Be ye transformed by the renewing of your minds. That is what we get to do on a daily basis, is it not? Because when we think we've got it, life is always providing us feedback. Let's get it at a deeper level this time. Let's move to a place of truly knowing this and experiencing this and practicing this. Practice, practice, practice. When I got into my car to drive here today, I found the ubiquitous acorn next to my car. A lot of these are falling nowadays, right? Now, this acorn has within it the DNA of the mighty oak, right? So if you plant this, you're not going to get a corn plant. You're not going to get a spruce tree. You're going to get an oak tree. That is what it knows what to do and how to be and what is within it. It knows the DNA of itself and reproduces in like kind. It doesn't have a choice. And yet we, in our humanness, we do have a choice. We get to make a decision. No, that's not what I choose right now. I get to choose a different way of being. I get to choose that I will have a life of prosperity rather than going, oh my God, can I make it through the end of the month? I get to choose that I'm going to be in radiant health, not hoping that I don't have to use my medical benefits. I get to choose. And it's through, again, that practice, because this acorn doesn't have a choice. We do. We get to choose how we show up, how we live, how we move, how we have our being in this world as spiritual beings having a human experience. That is the truth of who we are. A wonderful poem that I found really encapsulates this whole idea of us getting to practice again and again. It's called Autobiography in 5 short chapters. So, okay. I'm going to stand here. Where am I standing? You just want to see me wave. I'm getting to practice. Please go back. Please go back. Please go back. Back, 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 back. There. Next. Okay. Chapter 1. I walk down the street. There's a deep hole in the sidewalk. I fall in. I am lost. I am hopeless. It isn't my fault. It takes forever to find a way out. What stage is that? Stage 1, right. Next slide. Chapter 2. I walk down the same street. There's a deep hole in the sidewalk. I pretend I don't see it. I fall in again. I can't believe I'm in the same place. But it isn't my fault. It still takes a long time to get out. Next slide. Chapter 3. I walk down the same street. There's a deep hole in the sidewalk. I see it there. I still fall in. It's a habit, but my eyes are open. I know where I am. It is my fault. I get out immediately. Now, what stage are we moving to there? Stage 2, right. Next slide. Chapter 4, I walk down the same street. There's a deep hole in the sidewalk. I walk around it. Yay! How many of us have finally gotten to that point in our lives? And next slide, chapter 5. I walk down another street. Isn't that brilliant? That describes us to a T. Everything in our life can be summed up in that very short autobiography. Until we finally go, wait a minute. I can make a decision and walk down a different street. I can make a decision and choose something different in my experience. That's what we're here to do. I want to tell you about a woman. Her name is Reverend Karen Weingard. Reverend Karen is an amazing woman. I actually met her about 5 years ago. She was the co-chair of the National Conference of Religious Science Ministers, and it's held every year at Asilomar. At that time, every summer we had it at Asilomar. And Reverend Karen was the co-chair of that particular event. And so she was introducing the speakers, and I happened to be one of the speakers they had invited to speak at that event. She was introducing me. And so she came up to me behind the stage, and she welcomed me, and I looked at her. She's a little petite thing, but she had on a pink miniskirt, a velvet purple top, pink go-go boots, and feathers in her hair. So this is how she dresses normally. This is how she dresses. She is just out there. So she goes on and she introduces me, and I talked to her afterwards, and I said, tell me about your story. And so she sat down with me for about an hour, and I got to know this remarkable woman. See, at the age of 3, she was diagnosed as never being able to walk. She had polio. And she was told by the doctors, you will never walk again. But her parents refused to listen to that. They made a different decision. They made a very different decision. No, she will walk. And we're going to send her to Warm Springs, which is where FDR was treated. And her parents lived there for quite some time. And at the age of 13, 10 years later, she was healed and she could walk like any other person. So she defied that with the help of really wonderful parents who told her, you have within you what it takes to walk. And she defied that and said, yes, I will walk someday. She went on to get married, divorced. She had some children from that marriage. And then she fell in love a second time. And she married somebody you might recognize. She's in Southern California, so she met this guy, Norman Fell from Three's Company. And so she and Norman started off life, and her kids were gone and had moved away to college. And so she and Norman decided to adopt a child. She was in her 40s and she was having trouble conceiving, so they thought, well, we're just going to adopt. And so she and Norman had a prayer. And that prayer was, please, God, let us have a child who touches lives. Please, God, let us have a child who touches lives. So they ended up hearing from the adoption agency who said, we do have a boy available to you. He's in Kansas City. And so, from Wichita, Kansas. And so they flew to Kansas and they picked him up and they named him Casey. And within a very short amount of time of bringing Casey home, they realized that Casey had severe medical difficulties. He had cerebral palsy. He suffered from seizures. He didn't talk. He couldn't walk. And he needed a breathing apparatus at all times. And Norman said to Karen, you need to give him back. And he said, you didn't give birth to him. You need to give him back. And Karen replied, he's my son, and I won't turn my back on him. If I did turn my back on him, how would you know that I wouldn't turn it on you? And so she told me, as she was telling me this story, she said, you say yes to your prayer no matter how it shows up. You say yes to your prayer no matter how it shows up. Even when it shows up as a phone call saying, we don't need you. That's an answered prayer in some way. Just can't see it yet. So she was told by her son's doctors to stimulate him as much as possible. So she said, I did Indian dances around his crib. She said, I cooked macrobiotic food for him. And she said, because he couldn't speak, they communicated through their eyes. And she said, it was just so wonderful just to look into his eyes and peer deeply into the soul of this wonderful being. And neither her family nor her friends really embraced Casey, as did Norman. And Karen realized that this was her and Casey's path to walk together. On one Mother's Day, Karen's mother called her and said that they wanted to have brunch at the club that Mother's Day. And they would like her to come, but please don't bring Casey. She said to Karen, your father and I don't want Casey at the club. Karen understood in that moment that her mother was the one who was disabled. Her mother was the one who could not see the beauty that this beautiful soul brought to their lives. She replied to her mother, I love you. I'm sorry that this puts you in this position, but I'm going to spend Mother's Day with Casey, and I'll spend some time with you later in the week, and we'll celebrate Mother's Day. And she said, people can only do what they can do. She said, I had to accept that my parents had gone through the polio situation with me, and they couldn't handle anything more than that. So that Mother's Day, Karen took Casey, who was in a wheelchair, to her Sunday service. She was a minister at the time of a wonderful community in Southern California. And she wheeled him up to the platform, and she invited everyone in the congregation to come up and spend a moment just looking into Casey's eyes, which they did. They filed up one by one. She said there wasn't a dry eye in the house. Everyone was profoundly moved by the love that they saw in this wonderful being. When Casey was 12, he had severe seizures that hospitalized him, and the doctors intubated him and put him on life support. They told Karen, there's nothing more we can do for you. Say your goodbyes. This is it. And Karen made her decision. Casey will die in God's time, not the doctor's time. So she leaned over the bed and she whispered to him, you are love. You are love. You are love. Then she disconnected the life support, which the doctors had told her she had to do. Casey stopped breathing. He turned blue. And then he started breathing on his own again. It wasn't his time. The doctors had initially told Karen that Casey would not live beyond his second birthday. In June of 2013, when I interviewed her for this, he was celebrating his 27th birthday. Isn't that fabulous? This was a mother who decided that this was her opportunity to grow in a way, because she said, I don't have the normal things that most mothers have. I couldn't celebrate him hitting a home run. I couldn't celebrate him in the Cub Scouts or getting straight A's in school. She said, my mother experience was very different. And yet I learned from this in a way that I never could have otherwise. Karen told me that she lost her marriage because of her devotion to Casey. Norman gave her an ultimatum, and he said, it's either him or me. Well, she chose Casey, of course. So even when he left after 20 years of marriage, later on in 1998, when he was dying of cancer, she was there for him. Karen showed up for him, and she said he died in my arms, with me telling him how much I loved him. Think of the tremendous forgiveness capacity. This is a decision this woman made. She decided to show up as love again and again and again, even when life kept telling her, cut it out. She showed up as love over and over. She says, I call Casey uniquely abled. Casey is my most profound teacher of unconditional love. And if you look into his eyes, you see that he is pure spirit. Just God. I'm here to serve him, not save him. He doesn't need saving, but I'm here to serve him. She actually dresses in wonderful ways. Her hair always has like gold flecks in it, and she's got feathers in her hair. And she said that one day she was out somewhere and she was dressed, with all the flamboyance of her style. And someone said to her, are you going to a party? And she said, I am the party. And so she wrote a book called I Am the Party. And so she encourages people to live large and to love large. And what a great example she has set. Would you agree? She is a shining example. I learned so much from this woman and continue to do so. She says, love deeply, surrender everything to God, trust that all is unfolding exactly as it should. Very wise words from an incredible woman. I just know that as we all experience life, and my being laid off is just another chance for me to do all of these, to love deeply, surrender everything to God, and to trust that all is unfolding exactly as it should. I just have to know that. I have to practice that. I have to be that. Because if I'm showing up as God as Sally, then I get to practice this day in and day out. What is going on in your life where you're being called to a greater expression of your beingness, of your oneness, of your capability of forgiveness and love and kindness and generosity? I know that each one of us in this room is being called forth. You would not be sitting in here, you would not be listening to this and watching this if you were not on that co-creative path with me. And so I know that I'm simply here to give this sermon to myself. And you're all active participants in this. You're on the same path. And I know that what resonates for me probably resonates for you too. That we are here. We are here to make a decision, a powerful decision, to live life as spiritual oneness. No matter what shows up, no matter who tells us otherwise, that's our job. I'm going to close with a quote from a wonderful metaphysician, Dr. Seuss, who said, you're off to great places. Today is your day. Your mountain is waiting, so get on your way. Yes. Yes. All right, so let's just take that within as we wrap this all up in prayer. This is what I know, that I am here to be an instrument of good, an instrument of God, an instrument of love, of peace, of forgiveness, of kindness, of generosity, and most importantly, of power. I am not employed by my company. I'm employed by that living God within me that is always saying yes to greater opportunities, to greater expression, to greater beingness. I know that as I step forward on my path, that any stumbling blocks on that path are simply removed now. My way is made clear. And I know that the Spirit within me is actually inviting me to accept this challenge as simply another phase in my spiritual growth. And for that, I'm incredibly grateful. And I say yes. I say yes to all that has been. And I, even more importantly, say yes to all that will be. I am saying yes right now to the power of my decision to be in the flow and to be at one with that Spirit within me, to be one with my God, always, now and forever. And together we say, and so it is. Amen. Thank you, choir. All right. So I hope you have a wonderful Labor Day tomorrow, whether you're picnicking, grilling. I think it's supposed to be sunny tomorrow, right? Whatever the case may be, remember your oneness in this day. I also invite you to stay with us for our potluck afterwards. There's going to be plenty of food, so feel free to just stop on in and grab a plate and get to know our fellow spiritual beings on the path. Would you please stand and join me in our closing? We're going to say our prayer for protection and then sing our closing song. So would you say this together with me? The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well.